Hey everybody, I'm Matt Hill here in Oklahoma City, and just get to meet amazing people that are in and out of our industry, out helping out. Introduce yourself.
My name's Hawkins Dunlap. I'm a sixth-generation Texan, fourth generation in the oil field. I am presently the Director of Global Operations for Well Control Management International, based out of Singapore.
Thank you for being in Oklahoma City today. You've got a lot of history. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in East Texas.
East Texas,
right.
Beautiful place.
Yeah. I came to Elk City back in the mid-'90s. Was my first foray up in Oklahoma.
What was since you're sixth generation oil and gas? What was the first thing they had you start doing in oil and gas?
Well, I was fourth generation.
Fourth generation,
right? So most of the time when I started, it was supposed to be a summer job. I was going to school at SFA in Nacogdoches, and didn't feel like spending the summer working on the farm. And I got offered a job tailing rods and pipe and Sabine River bottoms on a workover rig, and I kind of fell in love with it. I was making $6 an hour.
That's pretty good money.
Thought I'd never see another poor day.
Yeah.
And luckily I worked for a company that said that as long as I went to school, I had a job. And so they worked with me. So I worked on the rigs during the term, the semester breaks.
Yeah.
Set frac tanks and drove water trucks up until I graduated. And then I came up here and started snubbing pipe. 5 weeks later, I was on a plane to Holland.
Wow.
And pretty much stayed for the next 27 years overseas.
What did you see as kind of the differences in the way we operate here, U.S. land and overseas? Big glaring differences, or are we all the same?
You know, I've traveled to 102 countries. Things are a bit different everywhere. It's kind of hard to compare. I've been gone so long, and when I came back in November 21, and I saw what was happening in the Permian Basin with the subsurface cross flows and the things that I'm seeing out there and the things that I'm presently working on, I'm frankly quite embarrassed at how things are in Texas.
Yeah, I don't think any parts of the world would come to the U.S. and be like super thrilled at how we may be working on things down there.
I mean, I've seen a lot of things in West Africa, Nigeria, Bangladesh. We did some subsurface blowouts in Bangladesh, and they were really proactive with trying to get it done. These were wells that were drilled back in the 50s. And they broke surface up in a couple of villages, and they were real quick to bring us in and kill these whales and plug them out.
So what do you want to do now? You know, what's your current project you're working on?
Well, I'm currently in West Texas, digging up supposed plug in abandoned wells, working on some orphan well projects. There's a couple of projects. There's a well in particular, Lake Beamer, that I'd like to try to tackle. It's actually producing 800 gallons of water a day, contaminated water a day. It's created a 70-acre lake.
That's a lot of lake.
Yeah, it's a huge place. It's rich with H2S and
how's the fishing? If it's a lake in Texas, I can't fish on it. I mean, it's got to be fixed.
No, it's really high in salinity and radium and the benzenes and toluenes. It's definitely nothing that you want to walk into.
No, and the scariest part for me, and we all, warn our children, because we're in oil and gas, anything oil and gas related, just don't get near. You don't know what's going to be out there.
Right.
I don't know if you're going to walk out to something and walk into a building that you're going to get killed on.
Right. And like we spoke earlier, these older wells, these aged wells, they're a lot more dangerous than a new drill. And moving forward, I think everybody is real excited about the orphan well program and the money that's going to be coming available. But I think people should ease into these things with caution. Every one of these wells is going to be different. You're not going to be able to put a blanket fix over all of them.
But it's something we can do. I mean, the blanket fix is let's go out and get them fixed.
Right.
Now's the time.
The blanket fix is taking action and going out and doing it.
I think more than ever, the winds of change say, hey, we're all interested. Let's go tackle this problem.
Right. You're not going to be able to address each well in the same way. More especially, it's going to be region specific. It's going to be operators, original operators specific on how they constructed the wells, and it's also going to be how they left the wells. So every well is going to be. It's not going to be just a process of building a road up to the well, backing the rig up, throwing some pipe in it, dumping some cement, and walking away and calling it plug.
So going forward, the way our industry is now, and we have all this, legacy abandoned wells that we're going to take care of. What can we do moving forward to where the next generations, this won't become a problem?
I really think we need to change the way that we're actually plugging these wells. From my personal experience here within the last year, we can tell that cement doesn't last. The casings don't last. Some of the procedures that are being followed are not necessarily the best. So we're going to have to come in with a different way, different materials, different methods on plugging these wells that we can walk away from and feel confident that they're going to be isolated for a good long while.
It's not really so much anything we can do with the drilling, completion, production of the wells. It's going to be hey, this well is at the end of its life, so here's how we handle it.
Well, we're drilling new wells every day and ramping up, and we need to plan for the plug and abandonment of this new well when we drill.
So we may not necessarily need to drill that well right there where you have it, you hope to drill, but maybe we could move it down the line.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that perspective. Well, this is what I do. What new technology are you looking forward to using in plugging and banding? Anything you see out there?
I've looked at several different new fluid compounds for, in particular, this Lake Beamer well that's flowing this much water with it. The surface, that all of the casing strings have been eat up. The well's bridged at plus or minus 640 feet. So we're looking at different chemical additives to kind of put a backstop in this well so that we can get cement and get some isolation. So we're looking at that, looking at some heliportable snubbing units, some small footprint units, because a lot of these places where we're going to be plugging wells, you'll spend a lot more money in civil engineering, building locations, building roads. So we're going to need some smaller footprint equipment that's capable of carrying out the activity that's required.
Man, I love all this stuff. I mean, you and I were talking like just the technology of going out and finding, all these wells. I mean, now we have very high resolution satellite systems where we can, cover inches of ground. And like I spoke, that's awesome. We need that technology. But by the way, when you show up, we have to put feet on the ground. We have to go and test every single one of these. And you might have to send a new kind of drone in with, all the, different, measurement equipment to see if it's even safe for a human being to walk near that well to start looking at it.
Right. The locating of the wells is just a step in the process.
Just one step.
Sooner or later, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to do a risk assessment and measurement, and then you're going to have to treat a lot of these wells like the records that I've seen on some of these wells. Not only the location doesn't match, but the operational records they're either handwritten and you can't read them, or they're inaccurate, or falsified. Somebody just wrote something in to tick a box. So you're going to have to start treating these wells as if you know nothing about them. And extra steps are going to have to be taken. There's going to have to be more wireline done. There's going to have to be more support structures put in, to be able to excavate and rehead and support a BOP, because we don't know the condition of. You can have a BOP on a well and and 10 feet down it's rotten and it falls over. So while you're in the middle of an operation, so there's going to have to be a lot of risk assessment done.
That's good work. Well, thank you for what you do. I'm gonna try to do a lot of focus this year on all of our industry eyesores, because we can all solve them better than the government. We don't need the government to come in and fix what we do. We know how to do it ourselves way better than they do.
And come out and spend some time with us.
Well, I don't want to fish in that lake. I trust you, buddy. But no, for real, we all need to lend a hand and do this, because, like you said, it's all hands on deck, problem to solve. So
great.
Well, thank you, Hawk.
Thanks for your
Appreciate you.
time.
God bless you, man.
Thank you.
Take care. God bless everybody.